Great. Hi, everyone. Hello and welcome to this year's election hustings. I'm Niamh Moore, the current education president, and tonight we'll be asking questions to our education candidates, Robin Kumar, Jonathan Goss, and Vic Calvino. In a moment, they will introduce themselves for 2 minutes before we get going with the questions. Feel free to show some support to them in the comment section on Instagram Live. Thank you to all those who have sent in questions. It's really important that we have been asked by it's really important that they've been asked by the student body at St. Mary's University to accurately reflect the voice of the 2021 cohort. There will be 5 questions in total and the candidates will have 2 minutes to answer each of them. Let's begin. If you would all like to introduce yourselves, and I'll let you know when the 2 minutes are up. Robin, we will begin with you, then John, and finish with Vic. So Robin, if you'd like to begin.
Great. Thank you so much, Niamh. I hope everybody can hear me clearly. At first point, I want to say that although in this very moment we're opponents, me, Calvino, and Jonathan, we actually are not. We're very good friends. Now back to me. My name is Robin. I'm 23 years old, and I am an international student from Italy. I'm studying criminology and sociology here at St. Mary's. This year, I decided to run to become education president. Now, when I first came here from Italy, I was very introvert and very, on myself, shy, and I didn't know really how to make friends. But all of a sudden, something changed. And the thing that changed is that I started meeting people and friends who helped me to shape me and crafted me to the person that I am today. So I really sympathize with those people, those international people that came here during the pandemic, who are not capable of meeting friends or meeting and talking to them because they are not capable of coming at campus. And for those people, I want to make available platforms like a debate union. That's why I'm pushing too much for a debate union, because I want you to come there and have constructive and amazing conversation with your friends. Because our education that we read at home, on our books, is just 10% out of 100. The other 90% comes from our friends, those that we meet in those corridors at university. So I'll make sure that one day when you will come out from this university, not only you will have learned interpersonal skills, but you will also have learned how to communicate in public. So I want you to go out and say, I went from zero to my own hero. So here, I'm over now. Niamh, I'll give you to the word again.
Great, thank you, Robin. John, if you'd like to introduce yourself now.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Niamh. Hi, everyone. My name is John Goss, and as you probably worked out now, I'm running for education president. First off, I'd just like to thank everyone who's tuned in today, because we all appreciate you taking the time out of your day to listen to us. So there are 3 main areas that I'm looking at in my manifesto: student development, accessibility, and communication. My student development policies are there to support you in your time at university and aim to secure your future post-graduation. In the words of Wayne Gretzky, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, and I want to give every student at this university the opportunity to take their shot. One of the ways I want to do this is by strengthening alumni relations with the aim to create work placements for graduates now working in appropriate industries. I also want to introduce a new business development service within the University Careers Centre to help students set up and develop their independent ventures, for example, as freelance personal trainers or massage therapists. These policies put your future first and help you start working and earning money as soon as you want to. And then to improve accessibility, I aim to increase the number of forms and promotional materials available in more than one language, making academic appeals more comfortable for those who do not speak English as their first language. I want to keep the recorded lecture system around so anyone unable to come to class has something to revise from. And I aim to develop the library to allow for more remote access and the ability to request books. I also want to improve signposting to university mental health services, ensuring they can reach students that need them. Finally, for communication, I want to develop a dedicated communication and community voting platform within the SU website, allowing students to be the voice of change at St. Mary's. I'm confident I can listen to students to make sure they're in control of their educational journey here at St. Mary's, and I look forward to answering your questions in a couple of minutes. Back to you, Niamh.
Great, thank you, Jonathan. And finally, Vic.
So, hi everyone, I'm Vic Calvino and I'm also surprisingly running for the role of education president. A little bit about me and my time at uni. In first year, I was part of dance. In second and third, I was part of netball. Last year, I was a senior resident on campus too, which was a great experience, getting to meet lots of new people and helping students deal with their personal matters as well as their educational matters too. In my first 3 years at St Mary's, I studied primary education, so all my background is regarding education. I'm currently studying a master's in education, culture and society, so still there again strengthening my knowledge on education, educational policies, giving me the knowledge that I need for my role. I've written so many essays about changing policies in all forms of educational settings, and being the next education president would allow me to actually put my money where my mouth is and take all the words that I've written in my essays and actually make them come true. I'm currently, alongside of my master's, being a full-time nanny too, so that's great. I really enjoy that. Regarding why I want to be the next education president, when I look at the policies that are in place at the moment, I don't see them reflecting what students need. They don't benefit us. They make our life harder, they make us more stressed, and that's something that I think we need to change. So I think that looking after students' mental health and well-being is the way forward, and that's what's going to help us do better in our education, do better in our assignments, feel better at uni. So tying in education with mental health and well-being, they 100% go together, and they both work off each other to create a better environment altogether. Yeah.
Great, thank you, Vic. We will now begin with the questions. To make this fair, we will alternate the order of whose answers the question first. As Robin introduced himself first, we will begin with Vic, then John, then Robin. So question 1 for you, Vic. As the nation begins to head towards returning to some sort of normality from the COVID-19 pandemic, how would you ensure students are supported and comfortable with returning to in-person or blended learning for the new academic year?
Great. So one of my manifesto points is to ensure that all lectures are recorded, whether they're on site or on Zoom. So that would be perfect for people that do have blended learning. And it also gives people the opportunity that may feel a bit of anxiety towards coming back to campus, the option of gradually progressing into coming back 100%. So they have the option to remain home and watch from online, catch up with their lectures so that they're not missing out, and still be gaining all their attendance while feeling comfortable and like allowing them to not increase their stress, not increase any pressures that they felt with doing work at home. So that is how I would help them with their oncoming journeys coming back to campus.
Great, thank you, Vic. Next we have John. Would you like me to repeat the question?
No, it's okay. I think I got it. So very similarly to Vic, I am also, I have a point about maintaining recorded lectures. But moving away from that, one of the other ways that I would like to support students who were concerned about coming back to campus, say because of COVID, would be an increase in the virtual library system. For example, by increasing the number of texts we have online, increasing the order in ability. So for example, for my DIS, I couldn't get a couple of texts and wasn't able to order them into the library. So if we could bring that system in as well for the online library, that'd be amazing. And just making sure that students have all of the educational resources they need, both in uni and out of uni, so they can make that conscious decision themselves. And then as we move away from COVID-19, slowly scaling that back as the university sees appropriate, and also maintaining the current system. So there's a testing facility on site, and the university have currently asked that people returning to lectures will get tests prior to coming into their lectures, ideally 2, but at least 1. And maintaining that is a great safety net for students who might be concerned about coming back. They might be worried, or am I going into an environment where I could catch COVID? If we just have students doing these regular tests, that will eliminate that risk, hopefully. And fingers crossed, that would help us get back to normal teaching a little bit faster. That's all I have to say.
Great, thank you, Jonathan. And Robin, would you like the question repeated?
Yes, please.
Great. As the nation begins to head towards returning to some sort of normality from the COVID-19 pandemic, how would you ensure students are supported and comfortable with returning to in-person or blended learning for the new academic year? And that was submitted by a student.
So first of all, I want to say that I have a very different approach from my opponents, because in this case, what the student really wants is to come back at university and engage with lectures and with their mates as well, to have that sort of relation, human relation that we have lost throughout this lockdown, and have it back, both in class and also outside classes. So as I want to stress this again, because our education is not just about books, it's about who we meet and who we talk with. I want to stress the importance to have a debate union again. And I want students that when they're gonna come back, the first day of their university in September, this fall, they will have everything ready. A debate union, an art room, where also their well-being will be kept safeguarded, where they can meet people like them and share discussion and ideas. This is my answer.
Great, thank you, Robin. So the order for our next question will be John, Robin, then Vic. So question 2. Recent announcements by the government have noted tighter regulation by the OFS, who are the Office for Students and the regulatory body of higher education. They've noted how the OFS will examine freedom of speech within universities and student unions. How would you ensure freedom of speech is protected within St. Mary's? John.
So that's a really interesting question, because if I remember correctly, the OFS issues with freedom of speech mostly came from debates going on at Oxford and Cambridge, having lecturers cast out because certain groups of students were protesting about them coming in, and other groups of students obviously wanted to hear from them. And I think it's important that we make sure, even if there's one group that want to hear from someone, one group that really don't, we allow everyone to have a voice. We can't just censor people because we don't like them. Obviously, there are situations in which censorship can be necessary. People that are saying quite vile things, that needs to be stopped. But if we're talking political debate, social debate, that needs to be a flat, level playing field where everyone can come in, say what they feel is necessary. My way of protecting that at St. Mary's would be to make sure that if a controversial figure were to come in that had not done anything the university deems unacceptable, perhaps, if they were to be brought in, appropriate measures were put in place to make sure that they weren't forced out. A student protest could be a potential issue in theory, and making sure that those protesters were talked to and listened to and their grievances were understood could help prevent that to begin with. That's how I deal with it.
Great, thank you, John. And next we have Robin. Would you like the question repeated?
No, thank you. No, thank you. So I think we're living a democracy, and the least thing that we need is to have free speech. Everybody should be free of saying what they want and how they want. Obviously, there is something to keep in mind, to not say misleading things. And in case that happens, if I become your education president, I'll take some stances there, and I will make sure that everything that is wrong will be taken away. And as SU, we are not directly, we do work with the university, but we are apart, we're charity apart. So I'll try with the other people to make sure that everything that is within the university is safe, and everything that we're discussing about comes into the education purpose. And yeah, this is how I would do it. Obviously, I would not put any barriers to anybody, no, not even people from international background who coming from other countries, because they might be free of telling and saying those values in their own culture. So this is how I would answer to this question.
Great, thank you, Robin. And Vic, would you like the question repeated?
Yes, please.
No worries. Recent announcements by the government have noted tighter regulation by OFS, the Office for Students, who are the regulatory body of higher education. They've noted how they will examine freedom of speech within universities and student unions. How would you ensure freedom of speech is protected within St. Mary's?
So freedom of speech is something that we've not always had. Luckily in our generation, that hasn't really been the case. We have always been given freedom of speech, especially in our country. So as education president, I'd encourage students to have a voice, to participate, to actively speak out when something's wrong. We have lots of systems in place at university at the moment where people can even anonymously speak out, protecting their freedom of speech. So I'd create a platform as well so that they feel more encouraged to speak out, have a place where to do it, and let them know that we support their freedom of speech and that they're free to do so at our university, and potentially even educate our students more so that we can ensure that what they want to talk about is positive, is constructive. It allows us to build better policies at our university and allows everyone to have a better time overall. No one wants to feel oppressed. No one wants to feel that anyone is being discriminative towards them or negative. But at the end of the day, everyone has an opinion. Everyone is right to share it. But let's encourage our students to have positive and constructive opinions at our university. That is my answer. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you, Vic. So question 3, the order will be Robin, then Vic, and then John. So question 3 is St. Mary's international student body is growing. How do you propose to include and engage these students, and how will you overcome cultural and educational differences and needs? So Robin, you're first.
Well, Neve, I need to say a very big thank you to you because of the project that you've been working upon, the Widening Inclusion Representative team that I'm luckily part of this academic year. And I've been working with all of the people to ensure to have policies that will make sure that people are indeed part of a community. I've been working for the BAME community this year in order to ensure that Black people, brown people, all people are more cohesive within the community, St. Mary community. And this will be even bigger next year when COVID will not be around, and I'll be there because we will make sure that when everything will be open, obviously, that people can engage to events all together, no discrimination anymore. Further, I would push it to another point, the decolonialization of our curriculum. We need to have a better international cosmopolitan journals, articles, and books that we have at university, the education specifically, because what we're reading now sometimes can be biased. And I'm planning to have one-to-one with students who feel like they've been discriminated through what they are reading. And I will bring on again, Neve, the project that you're doing, and I'll make it even greater. And then I will enhance it with more international and BAME community people that will help to ensure that our St. Mary's community will be even more multicultural. This is my answer.
Great, thank you, Robin. Next we have Vic. Vic, would you like the question repeated?
Oh, yes, please.
No problem. St. Mary's international student body is growing. How do you propose to include and engage these students, and how will you overcome cultural and educational differences and needs?
So at the moment, as far as I can remember, the current student body at St. Mary's is around 72% white, meaning that there's so much more room for improvement for the incoming, the rising amounts of international students. I personally come from an Italian Eritrean heritage, so I'm very familiar with different cultures and cultures coming together. So bringing my like English custom that I've grown up with to my Italian Eritrean heritage at home, I'm very accustomed to bringing two worlds together. And I think a great way of doing that is one, my manifesto point of diversifying the curriculum. So allowing us to see representation of all ethnicities in our learning, not just, we want to see ourselves in on PowerPoints, in boards, in books. Times are changing, so diversifying needs to become more popular. Also, I think that introducing events such as international evenings. Think that's what primary schools do and it works for them, so we should introduce it into our university and higher education, educating other students about other students' ethnic cultures. So many students would take part in events like that, introducing people to their cultures. Yeah, this is a little bit of an SLP side of things, but educating people and bringing people together enhances education, enhances our ability, makes us feel happy at being at uni, and makes our work as a result much better. That's my answer. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Vic. And John, would you like the question repeated?
No, it's okay. I've got it.
Great.
So one of the ways I'd work to improve engagement across various groups of international students is by encouraging them to pick some representatives, ideally, let's say one person of each background. That might be the easiest way to do it. And just create a group forum and say, look, guys, I can't tell you what you want. What can I do to help you? Because me standing here as a white guy who's always lived in England and saying I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that to help the BAME community is all well and good. But at the end of the day, I probably am not the best person to make that decision. A member of the BAME community should be making that decision. And like Robin mentioned, your work with the inclusion group has been, I think, one of the biggest stepping stones on that journey. And expanding that would be an ideal solution for me. I'd like to work with them to increase their influence, make sure that the curriculum itself is more diverse. I mean, in my course, we don't really talk about people at all, other than perhaps Einstein and Bohr. But there are a lot of courses, say creative writing, where authors are brought up all the time, and making sure that we have diverse authors involved in it could be an essential part of that diversification process. And then overcoming the differences between these groups could be difficult. I mean, if you've got, say, a group of Italian students and a group of French students, they might, have been raised relatively close in terms of country distance, but their education systems are worlds apart. And making sure that they can understand each other and come together and be friends is a huge thing we could do. Perhaps through the improvement of the International Society, which has done amazing work from what I understand. That is my answer.
Great, thank you very much, John. So our next question has been sent in by a student, and the order that we will go is Vic, John, then Robin. So question 4 is, do you believe you can deliver your policies within the time frame you have in office?
So I feel like some of my policies that I want to change, or my manifesto points I want to introduce, one of them is the 40% cap being permanently removed. The 40% cap has been removed for COVID. I remember during my time at uni, other people who were education presidents wanted that to happen and unfortunately didn't manage for it to happen, but it has happened now. So we know that it's possible. And COVID has affected so many people's lives in so many different ways, but other people haven't been as negatively affected as others. Yet everyone has been able to reap the good effects of it, and by the 40% cap being removed. But when COVID disappears and university want to reinstall the 40% cap, potentially someone's life may be having a crisis. Someone might be having situations at home that are negatively impacting their work, and suddenly the 40% cap has disappeared. But I know that I want to make sure that it doesn't get reinstalled, that everyone gets to resit their exams and their essays and achieve the grade that they want, no matter what situations are going on at home, no matter what anxiety, what stress they're having. So I think that all my policies are manageable. I can achieve them in my year if I become elected as education president. Some of my policy changes are big, some are small, but I know that I'm going to keep fighting my way through them and ensure that they happen, because I know that it will improve students' lives dramatically. And my policies are made with students' best intentions at heart, and I know that it's going to benefit everyone if they happen, and I'm going to make them happen. So that's my answer.
Great, thank you so much, Vic. And next we have John. Would you like the question repeated?
No, it's okay. So I believe I can deliver all of my policies within the time frame. I've researched the majority of them pretty extensively. I think, for example, the longest one to deliver would be my entrepreneurship support, because that would require agreement from the university and the staff members who are in the career centre. And then after that, the alumni network, because that would require first extensive research to make sure we're picking the right one. We don't want to just grab a random one and go, this will do. We need to make sure we do this right for students. But those two policies, I believe I could deliver within my first 6 months. Most of my accessibility changes can be made within a matter of weeks of being in office. They're pretty simple, you know, there's nothing majorly outstanding in there. Looking at lecture recording, I'd need to make sure GDPR regulations were adhered to in relation to capturing video of lecturers and students. One way of getting around this could be just making sure students aren't in shot when we take lecture capture videos. And then, you know, looking at things like an improved library system, one of my starting points for this would just be speaking to the librarians and saying, how do you feel it should be done? These are professionals, you know, they know what they're talking about, and they are the best people to work out what happens next in their library. I believe, you know, we could work out a system pretty quickly. Yeah, for the longest ones, like a new member of staff within the Careers Centre, obviously that would require budgeting within the university, discussion with senior members of university staff, and then the eventual hiring of this person. But prior to that, I'd like to publish a relevant careers development package, helping explain to students in the meantime how to develop their businesses based off my own expertise, having done it several times in the past. And I believe this is the easiest way forward with that. That's my answer.
Great, thank you. And Robin, would you like the question repeated?
No, thank you, Neve. I just want to say something, that what the student needs at the very moment are changes that are very quick and fast. That is why I'm stressing again that my changes are very different from my opponents. I want to make sure that this September, when you come back, your fee, where the fee is going, our debate union, our art room, our library facilities are going to be there because you need to start again. It's been more than 1.5 years now that we have been at home, sitting there on our Zoom screens. So I'll make sure that when you come there, there will be everything that I've promised. Further, talking about policies, they take a lot of time to be implemented, but this doesn't mean that I will not work on them. I will work on them throughout my journey as an education president, if it happens. And I work on them as much as I can to deliver it, because everything that Neve did before, I'm gonna take that. And whatever I'll do, the other president will take it on board. So this is my answer to your question.
Great, thank you so much. And for our final question, the order will be John, then Robin, then Vic. The education president is a member of the Black, Asian, Minority Ethnic Student Network, where you work with the group and other university members to address issues such as the awarding gap, which stands at a 12% difference for Black students and 3% for Asian students in comparison to white students. How would you plan to work to tackle this clear issue that is evident not only in St. Mary's, but sector-wide? So, John.
So I think a key aspect of tackling that would first of all be communication. Speaking with students, making sure that as much information as possible is gathered from students. You know, we already have pretty solid analytics coming from the SU talking about where students come from, what they're involved in, how much they engage with the union. And taking that one step further in targeting students and going to them and saying, okay, what would help you to engage? What wouldn't? You know, how can we help you? And I think that would be the best way to interact with the BAME network. Obviously, this is a cross-university project. It's not just St. Mary's, and bringing findings to NUS debates, for example, would be huge. If you could work out a key engagement method of bringing in more BAME students and making sure they're accepted and recognized, sharing that with other universities should be a priority, making sure that that's not something that's specific to St. Mary's, it's across the board. I think that would be an extremely important thing to bring in. That's my answer.
Great, thank you so much, John. Next we have Robin. Would you like the question repeated, Robin?
Yes, please.
Of course. So the education president is a member of the Black, Asian and Minority Ethnic Student Network, where you will work with this group and other university members to address issues such as the awarding gap, which stands at 12% difference for Black students and 3% for Asian students in comparison to white students. How would you plan to work to tackle this clear issue that is evident not only in St. Mary's but sector-wide?
Well, first of all, I want to say that as being Indian myself, I've seen this, that St. Mary's and all around the nation, we have a very huge gap between white people and brown people or Black people. So first of all, I want to introduce history and race into our curriculum to better understand and focus what we're studying, is it right, and to have a broader perspective on things. And then being not white, it will give me the possibility to show them that we are as you, we are same, we speak the same language and we are the same person just as you. So make sure to have that sort of connection and destroy those boundaries and destroy those sort of prejudice that have been made throughout the years. And this is how I would do that. And hopefully, if you're watching this, I can assure you that as being Indian and also Italian, I'll make sure that the connection, the communication will be enhanced. Thank you.
We can't hear you, Neve.
My bad. Sorry. Thank you, Robin. Would you like the question repeated, Vic?
No, thank you. One of my points is diversifying the curriculum, and I have already briefly spoken about that. So I'll stress that we do need to diversify the curriculum, but also one person can't speak for a whole community. We can try, we can do our best, but we all have so many voices that need to be heard. So again, create a platform where people can express what they need, how they feel they would best benefit, what they think they need to lessen this gap. I'd want to bring speakers in, more speakers to talk about the issue, to educate all of our students, no matter what ethnicity they are, what group they belong to, have workshops that students can attend to support their learning, to close the gap, to build on their confidence too. Simply give the students from the BEM community, students from all communities that are ethnic minorities, the tools that they need to have the step up, feel that they're included in our curriculum, our education, feel like they have the opportunities and chances to achieve just like everyone else. And that is my answer. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so that's the end of our questions. That is it for the Education President Hustings 2021. And thank you for watching over the past 2 days for sport, student life and education. You can now vote for from next week from the 8th to the 12th of March. Voting closes on Friday at 5 p.m, so please do make sure you're voting on time. There will be some goodies available once you've voted. Your names will be put into a prize draw where you can win instant smoothies, Domino's pizzas, Costa coffee vouchers and even SMSU hoodies. You can follow us at St. Mary's SU on Instagram to keep up to date with the elections, or through our website www.stmaryssu.co.uk/elections. Thank you for watching our hustings this year. Thanks again and have a good evening.
Thank you, everyone.